Well, hello, and welcome to chapters 29 and 30 of the Aidan of Oren video podcast series. We'll call it a podcast series, yes. Okay, we are at the end of the book. This is very exciting. 2 chapters. They will be done in this podcast. If you look up here, you see little Damon. He's the dragon. There's his egg right there. Yeah, they've been here the whole time. And Aidan, and you see there's Aidan and Lily and Mackenzie. Yeah, and books and blah, blah, blah. There's that frog right there, Larry. So, the word of the day is end. Now, this seems appropriate because this is the end. We're going to finish the book. Now, I'm going to use that word in a sentence. Yeah. Sometimes when I eat pizza, you know it, I like to start from the end, but only when there's like cheese in the crust. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll eat half of that, okay, but not the whole thing, and then I'll eat that piece of pizza, and then I'll eat the rest of the cheese-filled crust. Oh, it's good. And if I have a cup of like garlic butter, dip it in, I am hungry. I have spent this whole book talking about pizza, and now I'm hungry. But first, we must read. I could stop and just go get a pizza. Or worse, I could get a pizza and eat it in front of you. That would be so mean. No, let's talk about it. So here we go. I forgot my glasses. Where are they? I don't know. I'll be right back. Boop. And I'm back. Got him. I've come this far, right? I've come this far. I need the glasses. Okay. And of course, must have the coffee. All right. Chapter 29. Oh, we didn't do a fun fact. Okay, the fun fact, I told you that there were 2 songs written for this book. There's Mackenzie's song, okay, and you hear that at the beginning. You hear pieces of Mackenzie's song. I'm going to play at the end of this podcast, after the Mackenzie song fades out, I will play the beginning of the second song. And the second song is called Wish. And this is the song of Gorgon. The moment, remember that the imp said, "So shall it be," and he looked into that river and he saw his face was restored. I captured that in a song. And yes, the table wobbled a little bit. Sorry about that. But yes, I captured that in a song, and I will play the beginning of that song at the end of this podcast. If you'd like to hear the whole songs, you can go to my website. They're free to listen to. And just click the music tab, and you will see there's like a CD of Aidan of Oren. There are 7 songs written for Aidan of Oren. First one is Mackenzie. The second one is Wish. And then there are more songs. Okay. Are you ready to go? Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, chapter 29. Sebastian Fry. I love that name. Let's see what's going on here. Here we go. "This is where I say goodbye," said Gorgon. "I must return to my kingdom." "Do you have to leave so soon?" asked Aidan. "We've just found the elves." "My father is very old and not in good health. It is my hope that he will be able to lay his eyes upon me before he dies." "I'm sorry. I hope you see your father soon." Gorgon put his large right hand on Aidan's shoulder. "I hope you see your father soon as well. You are very much like him." "Do you know my father?" Yes, Aidan, we were friends, although sometimes I wonder why he befriended me. I was always the impetuous one, acting before I thought things through. But your father, he was cautious and took nothing for granted. Like you, he was strong, yet compassionate. He's the best of all men. Where can I find him? Aidan, the fact that you're here means he already found you. Somehow, he has awakened your spirit. Aidan thought back to his dream and grabbed the prince by the arm. Gorgon, do you know anything about a white horse with wings? You speak of Kamar, your father's horse. There is no other horse like that horse in the entire world. How did you know? Suddenly it all made sense. The dream he had a few days ago was his father's way of waking him up. Aidan's soul soared within him as the hope he would soon see his father seemed to be more than just hope. It would happen. If you're really a friend of Aidan's father, asked Mackenzie, why did you try to hurt him when we were in the market? The Prince of Goth replied, I was sent to find him, not to hurt him. The tall prince gathered the three children close to him. I hope you can forgive me for serving the Lord of Dungeon. My heart was not my own. Mackenzie reached up and hugged him tightly and whispered in his ear, just promise never to do it again. I promise, he said as he stood to leave. The Lord of Dungeon, said Aidan. Was that the voice we heard in the black sky? Yes, said Gorgon soberly. The Lord of Dungeon is not happy about your success. Beware of him. He is much stronger than you can possibly imagine. Thank you, said Aidan. I will take your words to heart. I think the elf is telling us to follow him, said Lily. Sure enough, the tiny elf was calling them toward the little red door. Gorgon waved goodbye to all and disappeared into the forest. Well, said Aidan as he put his arms around Lily and Mackenzie, are you ready for a new adventure? I'm not going in there, said Charles indignantly. I don't like small places. It's not small, gleamed Mackenzie. I've heard the elves speak about their home. It's as big in there as it is out here. Lily was more cautious. Are we really going down there? The tiny elf, with a curious smile, walked up and took Lily's hand. Look, I think he's trying to tell me it's all right. Can we take Damon with us? Asked Aidan. The little elf nodded in approval. What about me? Screamed Charles. I've gotten you this far. Are you just going to abandon me? Aidan knelt down beside the curious little creature that stood only slightly higher than his waist. What is your name? The little elf responded with a rhyme. The leader of the elves am I. My proper name is Sebastian Fry. So now I ask, step through the tree, for this is where you're meant to be. Hello, Sebastian, said Aidan. Pleased to meet you. I hear that there is much you can teach us. The little elf nodded in agreement. Well then, Aidan paused, took a deep breath. We look forward to learning more about you and about the ancient ways. Sebastian led each of them one by one, with Charles complaining all the while, through the little red door. Well, going down into the little tree stump. Should we stop? We could just stop and save the... No. Let's go on. The last chapter of the book is called World Within a World. Here we go. Although the little red door in the old tree stump appeared to be very small, the children experienced no difficulty as they bent down and passed through. To their great surprise, they came out immediately from another tree stump that looked mysteriously like the one they had just entered. Everything around them looked exactly the same. Aidan placed his hand gently on Sebastian Fry's little shoulder. "What happened? It seems that we haven't gone anywhere at all." "Of course we have," said Mackenzie. "We're in their world now." "I don't think so," mocked Charles. "We simply passed through the tree. I think our little friend here is playing games with us." "I might just have to agree with Charles for once," said Aidan as he rubbed his hand up against the bark of the old tree stump. "This is the same stump and doorway we just entered. We haven't had time to go anywhere. Look, the line of the trees is the same, and there's Zorn Mountain and—" "What?" Aidan gasped. He could not believe his eyes. 2 mountains! Sebastian Fry pointed toward the twin mountains. "Welcome to our home, my friend. It's not of where, but when. An age when mountains touch the sky together once again." Aidan did not know what to say, but Mackenzie did. "When can we see your village?" she asked, beaming with excitement. "Is it far from here?" Lily rubbed her eyes. She was trying her best to stay attentive, but it had been a long day. Even Aidan could not stop the yawn slowly spreading across his face. Sebastian Fry took Aidan's hand and started walking north. "We knew you would be tired on this, the longest day. We have prepared a fire and more. Please come and walk this way." The little elf led the children to the side of a ridge where they found a small, unusual house built between 2 large oak trees. The walls around the outside of the house were formed with crooked, uneven stones, and the roof was covered with thatched straw held together by long sticks. In front of the house, a large fire had been carefully built, lending light to reveal a most amazing sight. Near the fire, a table had been prepared. The wooden table was perfectly round with a large base. On top of the table was more food than Aidan had ever seen. Fruit of all kinds was surrounded by curiously round loaves of bread. Sweets and cheeses were piled high, more than they could eat in a day. Sebastian Fry led them to 3 small chairs in front of the table and bid the children to seat themselves. Lily and Mackenzie sat quickly, but Aidan did not. His sense of good manners would not allow it. "Sebastian," he said, "there's more food here than the 3 of us can possibly eat. Won't you join us?" The little elf with the curious smile pointed to Aidan's chair. "The table is to welcome you, the food to keep you strong. I am just your humble host. To join you would be wrong." Sebastian Fry turned toward the little stone house and clapped his hands 3 times. "Walter, Sprite, Frederick, come out and meet our friends. Bring the gifts that you've prepared, the cotton and the blends. Take care to keep them all complete. Fold them twice in 2s. Hurry now, the night is short, and don't forget the shoes." The shuffling of little feet preceded a most charming sight. 3 little elves, each carrying a set of clothing, came scurrying out of the little stone house and stood before the children. The smallest of the elves moved forward first. He presented his colorful bundle to Mackenzie, who immediately jumped from her chair to hug the little elf. As she picked him up, she heard a little oof. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to hurt you." The little elf's lips moved, but no sound came out. Mackenzie put her ear close to his little mouth and grinned as she heard what the little elf had to say. "His name is Frederick," she exclaimed as she unfolded his gift to her. "This is a dress." Mackenzie put Frederick down and held the dress up in front of her. "Look, it's my size." In same fashion, the little elf named Walter presented his gift to Lily, who echoed Mackenzie's enthusiasm. Then the third little elf, Sprite, presented her gift to Aidan. She was remarkably pretty and very different from the others. Her eyes were larger, and her pointed ears markedly smaller than the others. "Thank you," Aidan said as he took the gift from her small hands. He held the clothing up right in front of the fire, pleasantly surprised at what he found. "Remarkable! It's my size, too." He turned to Sebastian Fry, who seemed to be very happy the way things were turning out. "How did you know?" "Knowledge comes from learning. Learning comes with time. Ancient words were spoken with the sounding of the chime, spoken of 3 children in meanings that were clear. And so we've known for ages, today you would be here." Aidan scratched his head and gazed over at Lily and Mackenzie. They all started laughing, partly because they were very tired, and partly because they had no idea what Sebastian Fry was talking about. The leader of the elves led Aidan back to his seat at the table. Lily and Mackenzie also took their seats, and the children feasted as they had never feasted before. Charles, who had been pleasantly quiet that evening, particularly liked the grapes that fell from the table, but as calm as he appeared to be, he was careful not to stray very far from the side of Damon, who seemed to prefer the bread. "Sebastian," said Aidan between bites, "so this is where you live? Where are all the other elves now?" Sebastian Fry shook his head from side to side. "Our village is not far from here. The other elves are there. When morning comes, we'll take a walk. We'll have more time to spare." "No!" shouted Mackenzie as she rubbed her eyes. "I want to see the elf village tonight." Aidan reached over and hugged his little warrior friend. "If Sebastian Fry says tomorrow, then it will have to be tomorrow. We are their guests." Mackenzie nodded, still rubbing her eyes. Sebastian Fry sent Walter, Sprite, and Frederick home, then bid Aidan and the children to follow him inside the little stone house. The doorway was so low that Aidan and Lily had to duck down as they entered. Inside, they found 3 small beds. Sebastian Fry stepped to the back of the little building and stood next to the lone window. He pointed toward the bright moon shining in. "The moon is bright. The air is right. The stage, prepared for years. The cricket's sound heard all around forms music in your ears. So as we start this symphony, I leave you with a bow. The ancient seal awaits, but rest yourselves for now." Before the children could say a word, Sebastian Fry whisked out of the little building. Aidan, who was very tired at this point, sat down on one of those little beds. Damon quickly shuffled his way to the foot of Aidan's bed and hunched down as if ready to retire for the night. Charles was close behind and getting irritated. "Must you always follow Aidan around like that?" he grimaced. Aidan let out a soft laugh as he laid back and rested his head on the curious little pillow provided. "What a comfortable bed!" he exclaimed. "It's a little small, but it feels just like my bed at home." "Mine does too," said Lily with delight. "It almost feels like we're nestling down in our very own beds." Then she started laughing. "What if this was all just a dream? What if—" "Don't joke like that," said Mackenzie. "I don't want to wake up back at the orphanage. I want to wake up to a brand new world." The 3 children bedded down and prepared themselves for a well-deserved rest. Lily fell asleep first, then Mackenzie with Charles tucked under her arm. Damon was snoring softly at the foot of Aidan's bed, but Aidan didn't notice. He lay back in his bed, lost in thought, as he stared out through the lone window. He could see the twin mountains standing side by side, and he wondered what it meant. His thoughts raced through the events of the day: Gorgon, the imp, passing through the tree stump. It all seemed so far away now. All seemed peaceful, and his eyes grew heavy as the night wore on. Awake, awake. He sat straight up in bed. He had heard those words before. Aidan bounded out through the little door. It was still dark, and fog consumed the land. He heard something walking toward him and stepped back. Through the haze, he could see that the great white horse with wings had returned and was approaching him. Kamar? Aidan asked. Is that your name? The muscular horse stopped in front of him and started grazing peacefully. Kamar, where's my father? The great beast raised its head and tilted it to one side as if he was studying Aidan. Then it turned its head and looked back into the darkness from whence it came. Am I dreaming? Asked Aidan. A voice boomed from the woods. As a boy, you dreamed. Aidan awoke with a start. Beads of sweat had formed on his brow. All was silent. His friends lay sleeping peacefully in their beds. No, he shouted, running outside. There was no fog, and to his great disappointment, there was no horse. He searched the area all around the little house, but in vain. They were alone. Aidan slowly walked back inside and returned to his bed. He wondered at the big voice, knowing that it was the same voice that awoke him a few days earlier. Aidan felt a gentle breeze coming in through the window. He turned toward the breeze, which felt good on his face. I will find you, he said into the breeze, as he again started drifting off to sleep. He repeated over and over, I will find you. I will. Outside, all was at peace. In his search through the woods, had Aidan ventured just a little farther to the top of the crest, he would have seen a most magnificent sight. Thousands of tiny lights dotted the landscape, which opened into a great valley. Thousands of tiny elf houses, all lit by candlelight, surrounded the great elf city at the center of the valley. Inside all of the tiny houses, the elves, like the children, were waiting with great anticipation for the new day. A great celebration had been prepared, a celebration for the children long foretold, a celebration for the ages. But that is another story. I know it ends really fast. Sorry. Yeah. So is it just a dream? Maybe they'll just wake up? No. I will tell you. This is not a dream. This is real. When they wake up the next day, that is the next book, which is called The Elf Princess. Now, boys, don't get all in a huff, okay? I say Elf Princess does not mean it's a girly book. It is not. In fact, it's a little scary. Oh, yes. The Elf Princess is a little scarier than The Journey Begins. And then there's a third book called Valley of the Dragons. And it's a little scarier than The Elf Princess. So, it's a journey. You're about to go on a journey. And I have enjoyed taking you this far. This has been great fun for me. And now, I'm done. And I'm going to say it one more time. I love pizza. I do. I do. I do. Be kind to each other. And stick around a little bit. After the Mackenzie song is done, at the end of this, you will hear the beginning of the song, Wish. Again, this is the song of Gorgon, when he found himself staring into the river and he saw his face was transformed back. That was quite a moment, so I wrote a song about it. Anyway, thank you again. This has been my great pleasure, and maybe I will see you at your school one day. Goodbye now. Take care, my friends. We'll see you later.
Sing with the angels, sing with the There's a river of my life. Suddenly it's clear, a reflection of my eyes suddenly appears. You can run away from who you are on this moonlit night. There's just one star. I will wish on the star and believe in my heart. A miracle can happen to me with a sprinkle of dreams and a heart that redeems. I will wish on this star.